Frick yeah, baby. Frick yeah. Thank you, McDermott. You fired me up, man. You fired me up. Because just like Erica said this morning, you know, if you don't have passion, you don't got a business. We have too many good things happening to us. I mean, literally, if we dropped in the chat right now, one of two things: how much you've lost and kept off, or number two, how much you've made in Optavia since you signed up to be a health coach. It's gonna be a lot. So there's a lot to be passionate about. So thank you, McDermott. You can come out here and give me a hug here in a second too. He's over in Studio B, but I just kind of wanna get in there and get some honey badger in my life, man. Come on, honey badger, come give me a hug, because I need a hug before I can do this talk. Where you at, honey badger? Honey badger, come find me, come find me. Honey badger, I need the honey badger. Where's the honey badger? There's the honey badger, honey badger. Come on, honey badger. Now he got all shy. There's no way the honey badger, oh, he's coming in, oh, yes! Dude, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being a dad. Thank you for taking personal responsibility when you had every reason to play small. You make us better, because we're gonna talk about comp plan here in a second. There ain't no comp plan unless you take it personal. This thing's gotta get personal. This thing, you gotta get pissed.
That's it.
You got pissed and you're doing it. So thank you.
Bro.
Thank you, thank you. Honey badger, baby. Honey badger in the house. So I wanna just start off with a story, because you know, I'm gonna have a cooking lesson here in a second. We're gonna make some citrus orange juice here in a minute. And really that's about how to squeeze the most out of the compensation plan. But you know, Brandy, I was thinking back to 13 years ago. It was late 2009. I love the April's in her car. I think that's so cool. Everyone's just getting it in however they can today. I respect you, April. Way to just show up. Way to make it happen. A lot of times people don't understand why I'm zooming from my car. I'm getting it in, being where I need to be. But it was late 2009 when I signed up to be a coach. Tia actually did something with it. I just thought if I signed up to be a coach, you know, hey, I was disappointed because there was no clients that were gonna come in my coach kit. I'm like, where's all the clients at? They ain't here. But it was a few months into it. I don't know, it was such a busy time. It reminded me of Dan Valentine's life, to where literally the phone's on Do Not Disturb because there's just so many phone calls from people needing money or wanting money. And I went out to the mailbox and there was a check in it. And it said it was for $742. $742. Tia had been coaching a couple months. She didn't have direct deposit. And so they sent her a check, like after a month, and it was $742. And at first I called her coach and I'm like, is this thing real? Like, am I gonna have to return this? Am I gonna have to return this? Because this better not be another bill. I got plenty of bills. My coach was like, no, Doug, like, that's your money. That's what Tia and you have done. Well, I'm like, I haven't done nothing, but Tia has done something. It was the first time I saw real money with Optavia, because up until that point, I knew two things were real. One, every time that I ate Optavia fueling, JoJo, every time I ate an Optavia fueling, I got healthier. Every time I drank water, I felt better. Call that the beauty juice, Cassandra. Call that the beauty juice. You got to drink that water. Number three, every time Tia signed up a client, Jennifer, guess what? Yeah, I see you drinking that water. You're like, okay, Doug's talking water. I'm gonna give me some beauty juice too. Every time she signed up a client, they sent her money. And so I called up my coach and I said, hold up, wait a minute. Let's check this thing out. And I said, okay, we're making $742 a month. What's the next thing up? She goes, well, he goes, well, technically executive director. I said, how much do you make if you go to ED, executive director? Well, at the time, he was calling it ED. I'm like, ED? We don't want none of that. But he quickly said, no, executive director, that's a good thing in life, in Optavia. You want to be an ED. You want to have EDs, plural. And you know what? You got to maximize the comp plan. So we went executive director. I think they paid us about $1,800 for becoming an executive director. Here we were, a little orange. New because we were a client at one point, okay? Tia became a coach. She became a brand new coach. NC is for new coach. She shot all the way up to manager, got paid, went on to director, and then become an executive director. $1,800 was paid to us that month. Now, the great thing was I then called up my coach again, and I said, okay, it's about to get real. Now she's done this. What are the real people? Where's the big money at? And he pulled out this sheet. Be very similar to the income disclosure statement now. Actually, not similar at all. We lived in non-compliant times back then. But he showed me, and I went down and I found the income of what we needed in that time to replace my furniture income. And I said, I hate doing what I'm doing. I need out, and I need out now. I said, what do I have to do? And he told me. He said, Doug, he showed me actually, because I picked out on the sheet, it said $8,000 a month, and that's what I needed. So first thing I did is what Megan Valentine did this morning with us. She made us identify the goal. What is the need? And guess what? There'll be a new need when you get to $8,000. And then when you get to 16, there'll be a new need. And make sure you don't go out and buy Land Rovers and buy stupid debt like Kevin was talking about. You live lean and within your means for a season. But I identified the goal, and it was $8,000 a month. Here's what it was very simple. I said, okay. I said, what does that look like? He goes, well, you can do 3 executive directors, and you can have like 6 or 7 senior coaches. Then you can have a whole bucket of clients. That's $8,000 a month. And it is today too. You could even do it. There's some of you that are actually making $8,000 a month off of bucket 1, which is just clients. So I want to talk about this here for a minute. I got to restack my oranges. See where we're at here. All right, new coaches. So let's talk about what are these buckets, because I want to really break down the compensation plan for you in a simple way that some of you don't like numbers. Actually, I'm going to stay on this side just so you can see it. But here's bucket 1. Here's how Optavia pays us. They say that they're going to pay you up to 28%. Let me see, get that on the camera. Boom. They're going to pay you up to 28% of your client's order if you are operating over 6,000 in frontline volume. As a brand new coach, I just ordered my coach kit today. That coach gets paid 15%, right? So they're going to pay you 28%. Now, T and I immediately said, if they're going to pay me 28, I'm not going to let them pay me 22. Because when she was getting paid 22% a month, that paid us $742. Why would I let them pay me 22% for my time when they'll pay me 28%? So we made a decision. Remember, leaders make their own decisions and set their own standards for themselves. They don't allow the comp plan. They don't allow Optavia. They don't let Dan Valentine tell you what high frontline volume is. They decide. Okay, and somebody just chose to double what T and I did too, because we used to say, well, go to 12,000. Okay, us and the Tinners and Gina, we'd be like 12,000, 12,000, 12,000. Well, some people went more, some people went less. Dave Ramsey tells you to go cut up your credit cards if you want to get out of debt. You might drop oranges too. Well, you don't go cut them up, do you? You go put them in the back drawer, and just in case you need them, right? So I did what my coach told me to do. We went 12,000 in frontline volume. I suggest you do the same thing. You determine your worth, because you can fill up bucket 1 and they will pay you 28% of all the clients you support. Bucket 2, this is where you start dropping things. This is new coaches, signing up a new coach, all the way up to a director, okay? They're gonna pay you between, actually it should be 12 and 2%, because if I sign up a new coach today, okay, got a new coach, NC, new coach, they're gonna pay me 12% of that client's first order, okay? This is all in your Optavia compensation guide, by the way. I'm just trying to dumb it down for some of you that just want a cooking show instead of look at the comp plan, all right? Because clarity, remember, if we can get clear on what we want, I'm gonna go back to actually where I was a second ago. Our number was 8,000. What is your number of where you need to be come April or May or January? Or for some of you to not to go perusing the job sites again. Because some of you are like teeter-tottering right now and you're about ready to literally cash in, I believe, on your future and go back to mediocrity. Now, going back to a job and doing what's best for a season is not mediocrity. It's saying, maybe this just isn't for me where we spent that time this morning, okay? So new coach to director. If I move a new coach to senior coach, I just wrote this on oranges, okay? They're gonna pay a senior coach, they're gonna pay me, if I'm operating at 8%, they're gonna pay me, if I'm operating at executive director, they're gonna pay me 8% of that senior coach's order, right? So I'm over here now saying, okay, I wanna fill bucket one as big as possible. And again, some of you might have to go back and reestablish your non-negotiables because your biggest possible was 6,000 to 7,000. And then October hit, or should I say September hit, and then October hit, and like, oh crap. So you start walking around, dangling out scholarships. I got 5, I got 4. Who wants a scholarship? I got a scholarship, right? You start operating out of need and working those last couple days of the month like Heather and Chris were talking about this morning. So we've got bucket 2. And remember, Optavia does not give you any limitation of how full you can fill these buckets. Dan said, okay, it might take 2 to 3 coaches to find a senior. It might take 2 to 3 seniors to find an executive director. You decide now how many you're gonna acquire, okay? So we've got bucket 2. They're gonna pay you 2% up to 12%, and the better that coach does, the least you get. And some of you guys, I've had this conversation with many of you, are like, I don't know if I want my coaches to do good, they pay me less. Such a lack mentality when you're not seeing the big picture over here, all right? But for the time being, bucket 2 is 2 to 12% of all of your coaches' volume. Bucket 3, executive directors. Executive directors. Now, I'll just go ahead and tell you, this bucket right here is awesome. And the farther you go in the business, this bucket gets juicier and juicier. And we might even make a mess here in a minute and make some orange juice because there's many ways to look at this compensation plan. But again, I want to go back to clarity. If you would just identify what you want or even what you need and text it to your mentor tonight. Don't do it right now because that's going to take you off game. Okay, then your mentor who's trying to listen and be fully present here so they can coach you better is then going to be distracted. And you're like, you go, girl. You're going to feel an obligation to give a thumbs up, and then everyone's going to be distracted. And you're like, that was a great cooking show, Doug, but I only got 17 minutes into it because I started texting everybody. Okay? So tonight, I want you to text your support team exactly what you need and when you need it by, only if you're willing to do the work. And don't you dare tell me I'm going to try. Don't you dare tell me I'm going to do my best. Don't you dare tell me I'm going to come up with some cool ideas, because the reason, and here's where a lot of you guys get pissed off at me. I want to talk to them for a minute, Jeff. There they are. Yeah, you guys are just starting to get mad at me. You're starting to go like, I'm going to take an early lunch or coffee break or whatever it is. But what happens is, oh crap, I got distracted. Where was I? What did I just say, Dan? Yeah, I know, I'm putting him on the spot now. What happens is when we're setting these goals, we start to lack clarity and also, am I willing to do the work that it requires? Because here's where you guys do get upset with me. Doug, I started conversations. I'm like, well, let me see your conversations. And we're gonna talk about this tomorrow and unkinking the hose, right? We're gonna unkink some hoses. We're gonna unkink your hose tomorrow. And how we're gonna do that is we're gonna go back and look, because I've had some of you guys, I'm like, send me the last 12 screenshots of the messages you've started. And it's all been like, I'm not just doing 3 by 3 by 3, which doesn't even work anyway, because 3 is just bare minimum. That's like having 6,000 in frontline volume. You're gonna be frustrated, okay? It's just not enough. So I started 12 conversations. Send me a screenshot of all 12 conversations. And you know what? It's the same copy and paste. I'm like, hey, Jennifer, hey, girl. Just thinking about you today. They didn't respond. I'm like, well, you sent 12 hey girls, and all you did was change the name at the top. Oh, because I was in a hurry to rush through it. And so what happens is, I'll go back to this screen right here. We spend all of our time frustrated right here. And then clients start being clients. And I thought it was interesting because when I was in that view a few minutes ago, I looked out here and I'm like, look at these bright, juicy oranges. Look at this bright, juicy coaches. Look at the client pile. Like, they're like going rotten. Sometimes you're gonna get some rotten clients, okay? And it's gonna take you, when you're playing the numbers and the ratio and you've decided by the end of January, I will be making $6,000 a month. By the end of February, I will be FIBC regional as a non-freaking negotiable. As Josh would say, it's a non-freaking negotiable. You understand that you're gonna get an email tonight, your next ED who you've already crowned them. They never asked to be an ED, but you've already told them. You've already came up to Becca Tinter and said, I want you to meet my next ED. And I'm like, it's so awkward when people come up to say that to me. Like, here's my next ED. Like, are they a prized possession? And they're like, who's the ED? I don't have ED. Right? They're all like, they don't know what the heck ED is. But you've already crowned them as ED. It's gonna take going through a crap ton of clients. Crappy ones, good ones. And here's what's really gonna piss you off. You're gonna come over here and you're gonna find this, oh man, this is a pastor. This is a military guy like Josh, right? And we're gonna try to make him into something, and then he doesn't perform like Josh does, and we're like, oh, maybe I'm just not meant to do this business. I need Joshes on my team. Could you imagine a Zoom call with 12 Joshes? It'd be a lot, but it'd be like, woo, okay, a lot of passion here. Let's get into some structure, right? So again, you want diversity. This is a good thing too. Okay, so coming back to rotten clients, like literally, this is not Sharpie spilled all over an orange. That could be a rotten client. So what happens is we spend all this time in bucket 1 and 2, and we go in and out, in and out, in and out. And what happens is we're like, okay, I've got my 5. Got my 5. There's my 5. This is my 5. It took us a full bucket. Therefore, for 1 month, right after convention, we ran 10,000 frontline volume. We're like, yes, I've got my 5. So I go into protection mode. I'm over here hoarding these 5. Are you on training today? Why are you not on this Accelerate Leadership? Like, we're over here just literally, like, I do not want to lose my 5. Meanwhile, I've abandoned ship over here. I'm putting all my energy over here, and all of a sudden 1 drops out. They're not allowed to drop out. They're my 5. Remember, I've already crowned them. These 5 are gonna be hopefully I don't cut myself. These 5 are gonna be my global run. My global. That doesn't say global. That just says whatever. You guys get the point. Here's my 5 EDs. The problem is the 5 you go senior coach with that move you to FIBC will not be the 5 that move you to global. It won't be the 5 move you to global. I'm gonna look at the chat for a second. I just wanna pause here for a minute because I got 12 minutes left with you. That I want you to spend more time squeezing the juice out of the compensation plan. Because when Dan Valentine asked you guys earlier, he said, what is it you want? And some of you said, by next April, I want to be global director. Let me move these aside for a minute. That's what he said. And again, anybody who put global director in the chat, I'm glad you did. There's not what you want is what you want. You don't need to explain it to anybody. Okay? No, that's why I stopped years ago. I used to be like, what do you want and why do you want it? The moment I asked you why, you devalued your goal because you felt you had to justify it. What you want is what you want. Want a house in Maui? Get the house in Maui. You want to give $500,000 to a pregnancy resource center? Give $500,000 to a pregnancy resource center. You want to buy your kids college? Just because I wouldn't doesn't mean you can't. That's what you want. Okay? It's none of my business if I would buy my kids college or you wouldn't. It's what you want. It's important to you. So I asked people, and Dan Valentine said, you want to go global? And you're like, yeah, I want to go global. And I'm glad you do. Okay? My next question is, do you want global? Or is it an income? What does global represent to you? Because so many people think, I just want to skip right over here to the ED bin. See, the ED bin pays you 2.5% to 1.5%. Well, it's easier to actually go over here at 28%, right? Now, 2.5% of a lot is better than 28% of a little. However, it's important to say, what is it that you want? These 5 executive directors. Do you know that a global director with 5 executive directors and 6 senior coaches compared to a national with 8 executive directors in depth makes a whole ton more money than this global? See, because a business over here, I remember I was talking to Eric and Raquel Huntsberger a few years ago. I said, what have you been up to lately? He goes, I've just been sitting back counting all the money. I said, what? See, I've been sitting back counting all the money. He says, because while everyone else was walking stage at convention, I was just sitting back checking my bank account. I'm like, oh yeah, you're a fully integrated national. He goes, I'm a thick, fully integrated national. Why? Because Eric and Raquel understood the compensation plan. Now, Eric and Raquel since then have went on to go Fibble. It was time for them to go Fibble. But if you're, and I'm gonna need the IDS for this, but if you're making $50,000 a month as a fully integrated national director, it's definitely time to go global. Okay, Eric and Raquel will now look back and go, yeah, I'm glad we went global. It was finally time. But yes, a fully integrated national director making $50,000 a month, and everybody wants to be global over here with pissed off senior coaches, and this person like not signing up for Accelerate, and this person's barely on 6,001. I got my runner. He's on boot camp every single week. I can't stand my mom, but she's a coach, right? So we have like these people that are like in our business, and then, oh, don't forget rotten clients over here, right? And then when we're trying to maintain something, we're over here like, hey, rotten client, I'll send you a box of food. Like you over scholarship trying to maintain something, which if anything I could take us all back to today is just a couple things now that I just made a complete mess of my beautiful, nope, that was the wrong one. We're gonna go here. Those are in the wrong ones because I gotta get these back to where they were. Is this making sense? I wanna check the chat for a second. I just wanna check the chat because I wanna slow down. I want you guys to get this. You're like, but Doug, what's the big bucket? I'll tell you what the big bucket is here in a minute. Any questions in the chat I need to be aware of? You guys, is this making sense a little bit? Okay. So I'm gonna tell you where to maximize your time the next 8 weeks. Maximize your time. Can I get some water? Can I get a bottle of water, please? All right, you want to see the bucket, Robbins? Thank you, baby. Oh, hey, Tia. Hey, now. Woo. You want to be in your seats on time tomorrow morning. Tia's kicking off the day. It's going to be good. All right, so bucket 1 is 28%. Okay? Optavia says, I'll pay you all you want. Bucket 2 is all the coaches that you're developing. Understand, this is going to be a moving bucket. These people are going to go, some are going to sprint through and go into this bucket and become executive directors. Some of these are going to become EDs and they're going to go back into this bucket because they're going to be more satisfied as a senior coach. And that's okay. That's why we need lots of people, right? We're going to talk about squeezing the juice here in a minute. Over here, Optavia says, I will pay you 2.5% to 1.5% of every executive director in your business and all their volume down to the next executive director. Okay? So just let that sink in. Up to 6 levels of executive director levels deep. Like this is a massive bucket. You don't get to this bucket unless you do this bucket really well. I was thinking when Kevin Tinter said, what are some concepts of salesmen? And I'm like, actually the best salespeople are good listeners. Bad salespeople don't listen. Everybody on this call, I believe you're a really good salesman because we get paid to listen. We get paid to be empathetic. We get paid to sometimes see somebody that the world sees as rotten, and we get to see their beauty. And we start loving them while they're here because we can see this in them, and we can even sometimes see their ED-ness in them. And if we had bigger oranges like pumpkins, we can see their FIBC and their IPD long before they can see it. So you can maximize this bucket too. This bucket, the reason it's the biggest, I don't know why, it was kind of an order of size. When you're national director, you get 1.5% of all your volume. If you're a global, you get the 0.5% of all your volume for national, plus 0.5% for global, and then 0.5% for presidential. Now, the great thing is, if you do all of this well, and you're an IPD, Optavia is paying you a little over 41% of your Connect volume. A whole lot more than your own 28, okay? Now here's what's important. Here's what's important. I gave you the example of Eric and Raquel. Okay? 3 executive director levels deep. I got 5. I got over here at Global, okay? Remember, this business has tons of nationals in it, FIBCs, regionals, because this person got crystal clear on what they wanted to create. They said, I don't really care about the rank, although it'd be cool. I'd love to get announced on Facebook, but I'd really, really, really love to make an impact. I would just love to love people well in this season. I would just love to stop seeing people as volume or as a scholarship and go back to seeing them as Nancy, who's lost all hope. She's going into Thanksgiving up 30, 40 pounds because she's a senior coach and she didn't even qualify for Accelerate. But sometimes it's that we've put these people they don't want it anymore. And maybe they've just put on some weight. Maybe they've just backed off a little bit. Maybe they've gone through a season, a real season, not a BS season. Maybe they've had some family stuff going on. Maybe they need a friend. Maybe you got to go back and friend zone some people in this next season. I was thinking if we could pull everyone back up here. I was thinking, what is the friend zone? I'll take quality any day than quantity. Because as we head into the next 8 weeks, the friend zone and how you maximize this compensation plan is maximizing bucket 1 and 2 and loving like you've never loved before. Oh, what's up, Hunsberger? I see you and your party up there, man. That's cool. I'm talking about you today. Hopefully you're okay with that. Yeah, you guys are probably sitting in that new fancy house you just built. I love it. I love it. But, maybe we need to go back and take some of these clients that maybe the relationship got a little bit weird when they became a coach. Maybe we need to go back to that pastor that we put on a pedestal just like the rest of the church does. He has no accountability and he actually needs a coach. He doesn't need someone in his church telling him, let me know if you need me, because I know he told you that. Oh, no, I'm good, I'm good. No, he's not good. He's a fat POS because he hasn't submitted to actually getting help. Because look at him, he's a blob out there trying to share the good love of Jesus, and he can't share the good love of Jesus because I'm like, something's going on in here. So he needs someone to say, I'm in your corner, pastor. I didn't mean to call him a POS, but you know what? He's probably eating like a POS. He's not, but he's eating like it. He's eating a lot of it, okay? The point is that we got to go back and take some of these clients in this next season. You guys are looking at me like, Doug, you are off your freaking rocker. No, I'm telling you, part of the next 8 weeks is to start peeling back this orange. And seeing look at this, behind this ugly, ugly orange, there's a beautiful, beautiful ripe orange. And literally how you get the most out of the compensation plan is literally you just squeeze. And you squeeze, and sometimes it's gonna take a little bit of getting your hands dirty. I mean, literally, some of you guys might just need to just bite into some people. You're thinking that's weird? It's not weird. Because until you stop looking at this like a business or I just need to get to my $8,000 a month, how you get to your $8,000 a month is by loving this person. Getting dirty with them, having coffee, having breakfast, revealing some of your ugly. Why Monday, T and I were sitting there talking 10 days ago, and we're like, we need to do a tune-up. And I'm like, if T and I need a tune-up, do you think the other 10,000 health coaches in the company need a tune-up? And who wants to go all in with us on Monday? So I put that out there. I had my guy make a graph and let's do something. Because that's part of getting ugly and putting it on Facebook and social, not saying, who wants to join my program? Although we can do that, but we got to get in there and literally just start squeezing literally the life out of people. Some of these executive directors that have fallen back to senior coach, I can't really get into that one. Oh, there it is. We just got to get our hands dirty with them again. And literally, if you get your hands dirty with these people, just ask Hunsberger. Like, you just got to like love people in depth and stop worrying about how wide you're going. Get clarity on what is it you're shooting for, and then do that through loving people. And in the end, whatever bucket you choose to fill is your business. Here's how Tia and I see the buckets, because a lot of times some of you guys are like, oh my gosh, Doug and Tia talked to me, or they invited me to your house, or I got to be on your training, and you guys then say, I'm not even in your pay line. I'm like, pay line? Tia and I have never saw pay line. We've just saw people. Because if you take care of the people, it's all the same. Some of us are ugly, some of us are peeled up, some of us are like a canceled B-Slim or Premiere. We're just a big bunch of group of people, and the compensation plan takes care of itself, and it's a big, massive bucket when you spend the next 8 weeks working on yourself and working in the lives of others. God bless.